This is a training on community first choice and respite services. This presentation is presented by Jennifer Willis, and we are going to talk about the what CFC and respite is and the expectations for it and how to document for it. So CFC, what is community first choice? Community First Choice, also known as CFC, provides certain services and supports to individuals living in the community who are enrolled in the Home and Community Based Services HCS or Texas Home Living program and meet CFC eligibility requirements. The services that are provided, the services and supports that are provided may include the following: activities of daily living, such as eating, toileting, and grooming, activities related to living independently in the community and health-related tasks, which are personal assistance services, acquisition, maintenance, and enhancement of skills necessary for the individual to care for themselves and to live independently in the community, habilitation, providing a backup system or ways to ensure continuity of services and support, which is emergency response services, and training people how to select, manage, and dismiss their own attendance, support management. This definition of CFC is taken directly from the Department of Health and Human Services informational bullets. So what does CFC look like? CFC can look like, or when you're providing activities of daily living, they look like assisting the individual or providing the individual with bathing, dressing, personal hygiene, eating, such as feeding them as well, meal planning, meal preparation, housekeeping, independent living skills, develop socially valued behavior, community activities, use of natural supports, teach leisure time activities, IP skill development, also assist with amputation and mobility, reinforce special therapy or specialized therapies, transportation, administration of medication. Let me clarify with the reinforced specialized activities. What this in particular means that you may be assisting or helping the individual maintain or learn skills that a therapist, maybe such as a speech therapist or occupational therapist or physical therapist, is trying to help this individual with, or a goal that that therapist have created for that individual that helps that individual become more independent. So sometimes a therapist will show an attendant or an individual working with an individual say how to put on his or her socks, and that's something that the occupational therapist may have been working with that individual. So that's what that one in particular means. Non-face-to-face activities, so shopping for the person, planning or preparing meals, housekeeping, procuring or preparing medications, or securing transportation. These are face-to-face activities, which means that you can help an individual in CFC, and you don't necessarily have to be with that person physically or face-to-face with that individual, because you might be out shopping for that individual, or you may be at that individual's home while he or she may be away, and you're prepping their medications, or you may have called an individual or called transportation, such as calling DART or calling the Star Transit to arrange for transportation for that individual. Those services are billable, and individuals providing CFC can be compensated for providing those particular activities. Additional community first choice tasks, self-care, money management, community integration, including how to get around in the community, use of adaptive equipment, personal decision making, reduction of challenging behaviors to allow for completion of activities of daily living. Those are the ADLs, instrumental ADLs, and health related tasks, self administration of medication, non skilled assistance with the performance of ADL and instrumental ADLs, escort services, and assistance with health related tasks. Again, when we're looking at the use of adaptive equipment, again, it may be something that a therapist may have said, we can help this individual on how to use some particular equipment to make them or help them become more independent. Respite. When we're talking about respite, of course, what is respite? Respite care provides short-term relief for primary caregivers. It can be arranged for just an afternoon or for several days or weeks. Care can be provided in a variety of locations, such as at home, in the community, or another person's home. Respite care is nothing complicated. It's simply relief from caregiving duties when you're looking after someone who requires frequent monitored care. It helps to ward off the burnout that can leave caregivers depressed, stressed out, or exhausted. Respite care actually allows the primary caretaker to be a better caregiver because you can take some time to relax, or that primary caregiver is able to take time to relax and refresh. Caregivers often return from a break, even if it's just 2 hours, to have lunch with a friend, feeling renewed energy for their caregiving. And of course, everyone needs to take time for his or herself so that they can renew their energy and provide live their best life. Let's say that. Okay. So for the HCS and Texas Home Living programs, respite cannot be provided during the time that the primary caretaker is at work. Okay. So respite has to be provided, in other words, when the primary caretaker is not working. It cannot be working. Respite can only be provided for 10 hours per day when the individual is being provided care outside of their actual residence. Individuals can be provided with 24-hour service per day if the services is being provided in the individual's actual residence. Let me say one thing, I guess, about that in particular. When you're providing respite, it does not mean that the individual cannot be taken out into the community. We are simply saying that in terms of really an overnight, when the individual is asleep, the individual or let's say the caretaker, the person who provides the respite services, if you provide those respite services in that individual's home and that individual is sleeping, then that service is billable and you will be compensated for that particular service. If that individual spends the night outside of their primary residence, then we are only allowed to compensate respite providers for 10 hours of the time. So what does respite look like? Activities of daily living, very similar to the CFC services as well, but not as extensive. So during respite, you can help an individual with bathing, dressing, personal hygiene, eating, meal planning, meal preparation, housekeeping, and under our habilitation side, improve independent living skills, community integration, develop socially valued behaviors, use of natural supports, participate in leisure activities, IP skill development, assisting with, you can assist the individual with amputation and mobility, reinforcing specialized therapies, transportation, and supervising safety and security. How to document services provided. Our first step in documenting the services that we're providing in CFC or Respite is by clocking in and clocking out. So I'll give you an example of what clocking in and out sounds like. So we're simply going to call the number here listed on the screen.
Enter your employee ID followed by the pound key. Enter your job code followed by the pound key. Jennifer Willis, you have been clocked in at 5:38 p.m. Thank you for using VeriClock.
So let me just say that you dial the number, you enter your employee ID. For every individual within our organization, typically your employee ID is the last 4 digits of your social security number. Unless for some reason we have a duplicate, then you will have a unique ID as opposed to the last 4 digits of your social security number. For number 3, job code, each individual that we service also has a unique job code. One thing that will be important in remembering is if you're an individual who provides both CFC and Respite Services to an individual, that it is 2 different job codes. So there's a job code for Respite and there's a job code for CFC that is specific to the individual that you're servicing. So once you enter your job code, you're going to wait for the confirmation that you've been clocked in, and then you're going to hang up. So I'm going to again listen to how we clock out.
Enter your employee ID followed by the pound key. Jennifer Willis, you have been clocked out at 5:39 p.m. You worked for 1 minute. Thank you for using VeriClock.
Okay, so VeriClock is going to tell you what time you clocked in and what time you clocked out. And those things are very important, and you'll see why, because I'll just say you will need to record the time that you started and the time that you ended. And VeriClock is a very good tool to let you know your actual start and end times. The second way that we document for CFC and Respite is by using a service log form. This is a sample of the service log form that we use to document CFC and Respite Services. What we'll do is complete a sample. So here is what our actual CFC and Respite service delivery log looks like. Individuals can complete this form online, or you can print out copies and have a hard copy to complete. So the first thing that we're going to do is to enter the individual's name that we are servicing, that we're providing services to. So Johnny Ball is going to be our individual, and then the place is going to be 6060 North Central Expressway. So this in particular is Johnny's home address. This is where he lived. This is where it's documented in his legal documents that he resides at this address. Then we're going to enter the person's case ID number. And each person has a case number or care ID that is specific to them. First thing that is very important also is to enter the date in which the services were provided. You should make a very good habit of documenting each day that you provided services, not waiting until a week after and then documenting. So document the day that the service was actually provided. So I'm going to sort of kind of backtrack for us. So for the purpose of this training. So 10/22/18, and our start time for the services that we provided was at 7 p.m. And we ended our time at 10 p.m. Okay, so again, these times must match the time that you clocked in and the time that you clocked out according to VeriClock. So while you were providing services for Johnny, you helped him with bathing, dressing. You did meal prep. Say we did housekeeping. Say that we're going to always check off IP skill development. Anytime that you provide any services, we are always providing IP skill development, because this simply means that we're working on the goal or goals that the state or his representative case managers and so forth have created, and you will know what those goals are. So you are always supposed to be working on those particular goals. So IP skill development, always checking off during the time that you maybe this person takes medication. So I helped administer medication, and then I supervised his safety and security. And the service that I actually provided for him from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. was respite, so that the caretaker could take a break. So then again, I came back, arranged with the parent or the primary caretaker, or even it could be arranged with Johnny if he's independent enough maybe to live independently, or with the guardian or whomever the primary caretaker is. Say you came back on 10/24 and you started at 2:15 p.m. and you ended working with him at 8:45 p.m. During that time, I worked with him on IP skill development to develop socially valued behaviors. I assisted with reinforcing the specialized therapy and safety and security, and this was CFC Services. I'm going to go down here in my box here, and I'm going to simply put the date 10/24, and I'm going to say Johnny is making progress towards putting his clothes away, and say Johnny was able to put away 4 out of 5 articles of clothing. Okay, so Johnny's goal could be that he, helps to clean his room, or that he helps to put his clothes away. And so I am just documenting here that he's making progress towards putting his clothes away, and that he was able to put away 4 to 5. So in my mind, this is actually housekeeping or helping with housekeeping. Okay, so I've got for 10/24 documented here. You don't have to have documentation every single day, but we definitely want to know. The state wants to know in particular, what you specifically was doing and working with that individual on. A very good point of reference that would discuss how their goals work is to review our other training in reference to our company handbook that talks about how to document observable things. And so this one in particular talks about staff documentation, and that what you observe So here I observed Johnny at the 7-Eleven. He selected 3 items to purchase and approached the register, greeted the cashier, and received the total for his purchase. The purchase price was $3.42. Johnny presented the cashier with $3. Staff prompted Johnny to give the cashier an additional $1. The purchase was then complete. And so this is a very good example of what we are talking about when we're talking about documenting what happened during your time. So again, this particular example, Johnny used his walker to go a total of 25 feet this afternoon. And this might be something that a therapist has instructed us to work on, helping him or documenting when he's using his walker, or encouraging him to use his walker. If that is the case, again, we will be talking about amputation and mobility that we're helping. So there's some very good examples of how to document in the company handbook. So be sure to review your company handbook that looks like this on page our employee handbook. So in the documentation here, we've got something documented that when we're providing the CFC services. If we go to our next day, or let's just say here where this happened at his. I'll go to the next day. So the next day, Johnny's primary caretaker requested for him to receive services and receive respite services. And she asked us to get there at 2 p.m. So 2 p.m. and this is a weekend, so we'll say that she asked us to get there on 10:25 at 2 p.m. but she did not, because she was going to be gone overnight. So we'll say that she returned back, or she's gone out of town. So she returned back on 10:27. So I'm just going to simply say here 10:26 and then 10:27. So I'm going to say here, I kept him at this time, so I'm going to actually stop or document that I stopped at 11:59, even though you're still providing services. And we start here at 12 a.m. and again ending at 11:59 because that is a 24-hour period. And again, we're starting at 12 o'clock a.m. and say mom returned at 10:45 a.m. So this is what we're meaning when we're saying providing 24-hour care. But again, this is Johnny's home. This is where he lives. You can provide 24 hours of services in his primary residence where he resides on a day-to-day basis. So here you're going to document what you did, with him while mom was gone. Okay. Now, if this was during the week and you were providing services, and let's say Johnny is a 6-year-old, if Johnny is gone to school, and you're still, you're providing respite services, you cannot provide respite services while the individual is in school, or if they attend day hab. Those hours are designated for those service providers, the school district or that day hab person. So here you would just say, again, starting at say 12 a.m. and you dropped him off at school exactly at 8:59 or 7:59, then it would be your ending time, and you would pick him back up, say at school's out at 3. So you would say I picked him up at 3 o'clock, and then go from there. So you must stop the time when that individual is away or not in particular in your care. And so in this time we're providing respite. So during these times we're providing respite. And they're pretty much the same. You're going to help him with bathing and dressing and meal prep, meal planning, improving his skills, and always IP skill development. You provided transportation and safety and security during that time. So again, it's just about checking off these particular boxes. And if you are unsure about how to define these particular services or tasks, one good way to be familiar with these tasks is you can simply do a Google search or actually ask for clarification from your supervisor. So I am going to just document here from 10:25 to 10:27 that Johnny's primary caretaker or I'm going to say Johnny was provided respite care while his primary caretaker was out of town. Okay, so I am documenting, but I also can document that while providing respite services, Johnny worked on his goal. Johnny and see, this is me coming off the top of my head. While providing, Johnny made progress towards his goal to put away and I can be more specific, and I can say if I want to say how many times he did that, but we're really talking about respite. And so one of the other goals is Johnny safety and I'm going to say Johnny's safety, security, and health was monitored closely. Okay, so that is my form, and then you're going to print and sign this particular form. And your notes should be detailed and straight to the point. On my second sheet, I'm just going to say a second sheet in this instance because I want you to know that, again, say that you are providing services to Johnny and it is outside of Johnny's home. Okay, if it's outside of his home, then you must document that actual address. So just say it's your home. Okay, so it will be your home address. So say you did this again, like on today, so October the 29th, 2018, and say you started at 3 o'clock p.m. Okay, and Johnny is, say he's going to spend the night with you tonight while you're providing rest. You're going to start at the time he, got out of school or got out of daycare, and then Johnny goes to bed, every night, usually around 10:30 p.m. So you're going to document that, and that Again, IP skill development is always on there. During that time, you gave him a bath, you fed him, and we did some meal planning and improving those independent living skills. We provided some transportation, and this is respite for him. And then the following morning, he was still at your residence, right? And so he got up at 7:15 a.m. And then you dropped him off at school at 9:45. So hopefully he wasn't late, but 9:45. When you got him up that morning, you bathed him, you dressed him, you fed him, provided housekeeping, cleaned up after him as well, IP skill development, provided transportation, and then supervising safety and security, and this is Respite Services. So even though he was there and spent the night with you, during his sleep hours, you are not able to be compensated because this happened in your home. In your home here, your home. So there's no compensation when that individual is asleep in your home, okay? So we have two different forms because the address did change. And you provided respite here because if I was providing respite again, I could just fill out these empty boxes too. But because this was happening in Johnny's home, the location did change. So it went from one place to another place. Your home, his home. And again, there's a difference in compensation because had he been in his home on 10/29 and he was asleep, we would still be able to document. We would be able to go to 11:59 p.m. and then starting here at 12 o'clock a.m. Okay, so there is a big difference if the individual is in their home versus outside of their home, or the services is being provided outside of their home. Okay, so hopefully this training does answer questions about how to provide CFC or respite services and how to document those and why, what the purpose of those particular services are for. Okay, so if you need to rewind this video back or this training back for additional information, please feel free to do that or get with your immediate supervisor on further information. So thank you so much for participating in this training, and our contact information is located below if you need to get in contact with your immediate supervisor. Thank you for all that you do as well to support our primary caregivers and to support the individuals that we service. This training is now ending.